We have some further supplementaries. The first from Anas Sarwar, to be followed by Gil Patterson. Anas Sarwar.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today we welcome officers of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on British Muslims, Baroness Saida Warsi and West Riding MP, to the Scottish Parliament. Their landmark Islamophobia Defined report, which I, as Chair of the CPG on Tackling Islamophobia, and our Secretary, Professor Peter Hopkins, who has 10 years of extensive research on Islamophobia in Scotland, contributed to. That definition has been adopted by hundreds of organisations, academics and communities across the country. While the UK Government continues to dodge and dither on this issue, we have a chance to show leadership here in Scotland. So today I hope that it will be adopted by organisations in Scotland, all Scottish political parties and, crucially, by the Scottish Government. Will the First Minister make that commitment today, so we can focus not on whether Islamophobia exists, not on what it means and how it manifests itself, but we as policymakers can focus on what we do to challenge and defeat it?
First Minister.
I think all organisations should sign up to the accepted definition on Islamophobia, as I believe also on the accepted definition of anti-Semitism. And I certainly am happy to update on the Scottish Government's position. I certainly would want to see the Scottish Government do that as well. I would also take the opportunity to welcome members of the All-Party Group to the Scottish Parliament today and commend the work that Anas Sarwar, the work that my own colleague Hamza Yousaf has done in tackling Islamophobia. But to say this, that it should not be down to the Muslim members of this Parliament to lead that fight on their own. Every single one of us should be shoulder to shoulder with every Muslim across our country in tackling Islamophobia. And as First Minister, I am more than prepared to lead from the front in that battle.
What? So let me get this straight. I mean, it was only a matter of time until Islamophobia was defined, so they can then go on ahead and make it a hate crime law. And then, of course, they will then be able to use that as justification for the never-ending tirade of diversity and inclusion measures regarding in the academia and the quota systems and the never-ending narrative that Muslims are victims. And don't get me wrong, I have no issue with Muslims per se, and I have no reason to fear an Islamophobia law being implemented in society, because as things stand, I wouldn't see myself as what would be categorised as Islamophobic, unless of course the law is going to be vague and then it will be used as a means to exploit. As things currently stand, I wouldn't see this as an issue personally for myself. But that said, I do find it a bit rich, considering it's not reciprocated abroad and at home, considering you think the same treatment is applied to Christians in Muslim countries. I don't think it is, and especially here, every single demographic, every single category of society is protected by hate crime laws by one demographic. And for Sturgeon to sit there and talk about how it shouldn't be the fight for two Muslim MPs to take upon themselves to crack down on Islamophobia in society, what have you been fucking doing? What have you done to tackle the Islamophobia? What have you done personally? What have any of these MPs done? None of them have done anything bar the two Muslim MPs, and it just goes to show you the two Muslim MPs that are embroiled and invested in identity politics have spent the best part of 2 years trying to prove that Islamophobia exists in society and use that as a means to justify them with their never-ending tirade of BS regarding, oh, there's too many white teachers, oh, blah, 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 oh, there's too many white councillors, there's too many white politicians, etc., etc. Oh, you need to fast travel ethnic minorities in interviews. You know, it's this never-ending tirade of pretentious BS and demands made by Anas Sarwar especially, and then Sturgeon comes out at the end of it all and has the audacity to criticise or chastise people for not standing up alongside them. Have you ever asked yourself why these people haven't stood up alongside him? Maybe it's because nobody else can see the problems that Anas Sarwar claims exist. He spent the best part of 2 years trying to prove that Islamophobia existed in society. What the fuck does that tell you? For something that's such a prevalent problem apparently, how did it take him all that time? How did it take Anas Sarwar, the man that claims he was a victim of racism all those years ago? It took him 2 years to prove that Islamophobia was a problem in society, and then he's now so happy with himself. He's so content that he's proved it to the world, and now he wants to use it as a means to change society. And I wonder how that will turn out. And don't sit there and tell me that the Muslims all across Britain and in Scotland are all sitting quivering, and now they're so thankful that this law is finally on the horizon, because before the adoption and the adaptations and so on were brought into the picture, they were cowering in fear. No, I reckon a good portion of these people are laughing, monumentally laughing at the laughing stock we're becoming as a country. And that's nothing, that's not taking anything away from them personally. I mean, I would never condemn any hatred towards any particular group of people, and I wouldn't condemn violence and so on and so forth, or racism, but I do think that there's never-ending charade of pandering and allowing more hate crime laws and protections and so on is just a means to come across on the world stage as a fucking pushover. So when there's attempts as a country to be progressive, we just look like a bunch of wet rags, if I'm honest. And I do find it absolutely hilarious how all we keep hearing from these people that do nothing but spew out BS about how wonderful diversity is, and it's such a fucking great strength. Is it such a great strength? Is it really? Well, explain to me how something that's supposedly a strength seems to be nothing other than divisive at this point. I mean, surely if a country was going to be quote unquote cohesive and diverse and inclusive and compassionate and everybody gets along, quite the thing, surely the way to go about that wouldn't be to constantly interfere and proclaim that there's rampant problems with said prejudices in society. All, of course, coming from one demographic, that big, bad, evil oppressor that all you fucking lefty commies and socialists have got on your sites. What a joke, man. What an absolute joke. You know, the laugh of the matter is, I wonder how the Christians are being treated right now in Pakistan. Why don't we ask Anas's father? At the end of the day, as I said, I don't really give a shit about Islamophobia or an Islamophobia hate crime law and whatnot. Personally, I think hate crime laws are just a means, they're just cancerous, and it's something that Nicola Sturgeon especially loves to adapt into society, because not only is it a means to divide everybody into little groups so they can live this never-ending fantasy that they're all poor oppressed victims, so Sturgeon and other parties and other politicians alike can swoop in and give them all the promises to rectify the problems if you vote for them next time round. Not only that, it's a means for Sturgeon to look like the fucking wonderful guru of progression, when in reality she is just say no more. At the end of the day, again, I do find it hilarious how the two Muslim MPs that have spent the best part of 2 years trying so hard to prove Islamophobia is a real problem in society. You look hard enough for racism anywhere and you'll find it, you know? And individual cases of quote-unquote Islamophobia do not justify tarnishing everybody with the same brush. You know what I mean? Scotland isn't a racist country, and just because Sturgeon claims it is and Anas claims it is, who fucking cares what a bunch of left-wing twats think about us? Peace.